So,
Hello, hello, hello. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm
This is
doing good.
so today we're doing the vote early virtual discussion. Great. I'm sharing it now. This is our different our first this is the first and the inaugural event for vote early day, So it's here 2020. It's October 24th, but a lot of people don't know that they can vote early.
That's true. That is so true. You can really vote early. I voted on the Monday in Georgia. So when did you vote?
I'm actually working the polls that I'm working the polls on November 3rd. So I'm going to vote when I get there to work the polls on the 3rd.
Okay, look at you. Look at you.
Mhm.
So
I
why did I'm sorry, what you about to say?
I say I always work the polls at doing voting because I want people to see someone who looks like them.
That's so true. That's very important because I live in Buckhead, and unfortunately, you don't see a lot of people like us there.
Oh no.
And sometimes, if you're nervous about voting, and people like to see who they're used to sometimes, like who they can relate to. When you see people who you look nothing like, and you don't even say hello, thank you for voting today, they kind of brush people off. But I hope that this dialogue we have today, where it tells people to get out and vote,
Mhm.
is very, very important.
I think so, and then plus with so many things going on to try to keep people from voting. I want this discussion to be a place where people can understand like you have that right. A lot of people have worked hard for this right. So, I'm excited about it. This is a great I love talking with you because we have such a good time and
Yes.
this subject is so important. So let me go ahead. I want to first introduce my guest host today. His name is Rodney Wash. Please tell everybody about yourself.
Oh my gosh. Well, I want to say first and foremost, I can add published author to my to my accolades. That's
Yes.
very, very. I am so humbled and honored about that. And guess what? My book went number one for new releases. So
Hello.
you guys like supporting me and just believing in my book is such a beautiful thing. It's called Media World Through My Eyes on Amazon. But I'm really it's a media mogul. I love everything about media. That's how I met my beautiful co-host Chandra today, and it's just a beautiful thing just to have somebody just who believe in you and partner with you and just come bringing two brands together to talk about something so serious because early voting matters.
Yep.
And from a data that I researched, over 22 million Americans have voted as of last week. But this time last year for the whole span, did you know in 2016 election, only 57 million voted in totality. So that means that you guys getting out there doing early voting, and that's what this discussion is all about. I'm so happy about that.
I am too. Like I think that, we have this inaugural event, like vote early day. Like now it's going to be added to the calendar. So I'm gonna talk about the basis on why vote early day was created. Like 2 days after, it's actually 2 days after the final presidential debate and 10 days before the election. So this is like after everyone's heard everybody's speech and what they said they might do or what they can do or what they're gonna try to do or what they lying to do. People are able to still go before the lines get long and stuff to go and cast their ballot and make sure they're voting on time. Um, the vote early day is was brought about by nonprofits, businesses, election administrators, and creatives, so that we can make sure that everybody knows their options on how to vote early. People are hosting across the country dinners. They're hosting different events. I'm choosing to do my event virtually. Because when I saw had Rodney had voted early, and I took my son to register to vote for the first time. He's voted. This is his first election to vote in. So these are the things that made me so happy to partner with Vote Early Day. And so I'm excited. And I see that, Rodney, you've been pushing like y'all better, even though the line is long.
Yes, you got it. You have this. Let me tell you why this is important, you guys. We are trying to bring awareness. We are trying to encourage
Mm-hmm.
voting and answer questions about where to vote early and why your vote matters. let's just focus right there. Why do our votes matter? So let me just give like a little background on why your votes matter. So if you do not know that any sitting president can put in a justice which sit on the Supreme Court. Okay, that Supreme Court sits there for life. That is one of the only positions in our where we can elect somebody who can elect a person for a life position. So that being said, this person who sit in the seat can change your whole life factor, can go through, and if they have enough parties who agree with them with their political views, can change how we live our lives today. Because I'm part of the LGBT community, so I love the fact that I have just the basic rights to vote, to get married. You know what I'm saying? To be covered under my spouse or my partner's insurance. And so simple things like that can be taken away just from a justice. So when you sit at home and say, my vote doesn't count, it might not count for this president, what they're doing right now in their current term, but it can affect your life moving forward. So that's why we want to bring awareness on. That's why this is so important. But Chandra, why should you vote? Why should you vote?
Because your voice matters. Like, you want to make sure that your family, the people that you love, are taken care of. You want to make sure that your voice is heard, because we have kids. If you have children, and anybody, you should be able to vote. You should be voting, because no matter what you are, what demographic you are, whoever you elect into office is going to affect you, whether it be tax dollars, whether it be roads, whether it be schools, whether it be medical, anything that enriches your life. This affects. If you like going to the museum, if you like parks, all of these things, this is why you should vote, because people have marched and died for the right to vote. And so you have to get out there and do your part. There's no reason why you should not be casting your ballot and making your voice heard when it comes down to um to get things done. Like, you have to use your voice. You want to speak up on Facebook, make it known at the polls. I mean,
There's a song right now called "Get Your Booty to the Pole." Because they're trying to touch everyone, from people from the strip club to people who in corporate America. We don't care who you are, because your vote matters, you guys. Do you not know if, like, people in your, like, it's in your district is what they say, call them, right? Your district, where they can, like, really change your whole trajectory, what you can do as a human being.
Yep.
They can put in blocks where certain clubs cannot be open and go in certain areas. That matters.
Yep.
And being a Black person, that's another question. So why, being African American, why should we vote as being an African American?
Because we had people, our ancestors, blood, sweat, tears, they died for us to have that right to vote. They marched, they did what was necessary. They took the battle, they battled it for us to have that right. So it's even though that's not in our time, we still fighting against it anyway. Like, the reason our voters, people are being the voters being suppressed. There are people who are not being able to vote. So all of these things matter. We have to have our voice heard. This goes for everybody of every ethnicity, not just Black people, but everybody. Y'all need to get out there and make your voices heard. And people, even in every race, except one race, had to fight for the right to vote. So this is why this matters so much. This is why not just election, but every local election, every state, every election matters. So even if you don't feel it's a big one, it's a big one. You have to do your part to make sure that you are using your voice for what it's there for what it's been fought for what your tax dollars have paid for. You don't want to keep paying all these high behind taxes, or you want to make a decision on where the money goes. This is your time to speak. This is your time to make sure people, you making your voice heard, especially Black people. You don't want your school districts and stuff like that to have less money. You have to get out there and talk. Get to the town hall meeting, school board meetings. Start there. Get out there, and make sure your presence is known.
And let me say this, because I was guilty of this, being an early voter. This little background story. My great grandmother, I have roots in Mississippi. And she told me how you had to pay a poll tax just to vote. You had to take a reading test just to vote. So it does people who fought for our rights, because they fought for all American rights. immigrants, all people who was not, a certain color, had to go through a lot of bull. And so when you sit at home and you do not vote, that's a disservice to people fought and paid in blood, sweat, and tears for you to do that. It's like she told me how they had railroad rocks thrown at them from voting. How they used to have things burnt, like crosses burnt from their houses just for trying to vote. Because Mississippi, honestly, should be a Democratic state. I'm not telling you what party to vote for. I'm not advocating for that. But it should be a Democratic state. But because of the fear they were placed amongst the Black people, they didn't vote at all. They were scared. They're having torches and KKK signs at your home for voting. So every time I go to the poll, I'm standing on the back of everyone who fought for that right for me to get there. I vote with pride. Now I'm gonna keep it honest. If you was in my party, if you was with my party, I voted that party without doing any research. And that's an issue. I really encourage you guys to know what the person you align with your party affiliation, know what they stand for, their principle, their value. Because sometimes they can be the same party affiliation as you, but they don't stand what you stand for. So we want to encourage early voting, but also do your research. Research is so critical in whatever decision you make when voting, because that can change everything about your life.
And that's the biggest thing. Like everyone's forgetting about, like, wait a minute, I only vote down this part of the ballot. No, you have to know, like, you could actually call and email each these people, except some people. But the people that are local who can get to you, who could directly affect you right now, you could call and talk to them. I know I did. I know I called and say, hey, I want to talk to you from a citizen standpoint. I want to get why I should vote for you. Why are you who I need in the seat where I live at? Why should you be put in a place to make decisions for my family and for what I want to do with my life? So these are the things that you have the right to call. You have the right to email. You have the right to do all of these things. So you don't have to, worry about, I don't know if I can reach them. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. You could do all of that. Like, you don't have to wait for them to come to you. You go to them. And I think, and that's one of the things I love about the election websites. All of that information is there. Their contact, all that kind of stuff. You can check their voting record if they're already in office. You can check to see exactly what their staff looks like. Because if you think about it, they can say everything they want. But if their staff does not reflect what they're talking about, you need to check that. So all of these things take a lot of precedence over, I'm just going to vote a party. You have to be able to look exactly what they're planning on doing and how they respond to you. So you be informed before you go to the ballots.
Let me tell you this too. Keep in mind, and I feel like me and Chandra both agree with this, that they work for you. Okay? Yep. Your elected officials work for you. So when they are not doing their job, don't let anyone be a seat filler. I feel like we have a lot of seat fillers and we don't see change, and this is why a lot of us be discouraged to vote. Like, we have somebody in office right now who looks like me, but the streets still look the same, the crime's still the same. It's nothing being changed in my community area, or we don't have any community standards. The basketball court still have nets missing, the fence down, the grass never cut. You can change all of that. I'm a big advocate for removing people who are not doing their stuff. I don't agree with people being in office for 30 plus years just because. No, get up and vote they butt out. I'm a true advocate for that. I know it might offend some people on here, but I don't like seat fillers. So you're not doing nothing for the people, you're not doing nothing for your constituents, why are you there? That discouraged a lot of people that I talk to on my side, for my following, people just come ask me a question about voting where they like, we have somebody there, but they're not visible. They don't make themselves known. They don't hold meetings to talk to us. Like, you get their butt out that office. Period. Yep. You paying tax dollars. Get them out.
And that's why I like to tell people all the time, you don't have to stick with the same person, and all the time in office. You could actually, have who you want in there. You could actually talk, explain to people, like, you don't have to keep the same people. You know, if they have worn out their welcome in that seat, it is okay to tell them they got to go. It is okay to say, listen, we gotta fix this. This is not working for us, you know? This is not working. So we need to fix that and make sure that you all know that you can get rid of these seat fillers. And that was a good way, a good thing to say, Rodney. These seat fillers, they're not really doing nothing but enhancing the atmosphere.
Who you telling? And I have another question for you, Chandra, because I don't work the polls. I am a big advocate for early voting. So how can you find out where is your only early voting location located in your area?
The good thing about Vote Early Day is that they do have a website that you can go to check for every single state, in the military. So if they go to www.voteearlyday.org /how dash two, you can find that out. But also in your local offices, your election board, and at your city hall or town hall, town council, they can actually have on their site, the election site, where you can go what times they have open, because some people are open on the weekends, you know, and some people are open, you know, on later hours. So you can either go to your local county or you can go to voteearlyday.org, and it'll show you exactly what you can do and who to contact in your state. And that's the biggest thing I liked about it, because I was perusing on the site before I signed up, and I was like, let me see if like Alabama was one I was really interested in, because that is a southern state. I'm from South Carolina, so I know, you know, my state has some. Please, y'all get out to the polls in South Carolina. That's all I'm gonna say. I just want a PSA.
And in Kentucky too.
Kentucky, y'all better get together and figure that out. Because if it's not gonna be you, it's gonna be us. Y'all don't want it to be us, so I think y'all need to fix that situation. Because I want y'all to also know that you all control those attorney generals, these sheriffs, all these people. Hello, so y'all vote, but the biggest thing, that's good thing about the voteearlyday.org is that all of those things are there. They pulled everything together to make it easier for everybody to see. And I like that, because some people Google don't give you everything.
Well, exactly. Now, can we out there, and I just want to make sure that we rectify them and correct them and put them to rest.
Lord. We liberal. So like I think some of these, because when I came across this article, watched it, but I thought it was so funny that, you know, there are actually myths about us voting. And this is the craziest part. The one that I think is that black candidates matter most to black voters. I think all candidates matter to black voters. We're not just stuck on somebody who look like us, you know? It's a little bit frozen there. It's a little bit frozen there.
Yes, this good old internet connection. I can see you now.
Oh, okay. It's all right, because what I stopped doing was black candidates matter most to black voters. That's a myth. Yes, we want people who look like us, but we want people who are going to do what they're supposed to do for everybody, and make it equal and make sure that everybody's being serviced. So we need to look at, not just because some of all skin folk ain't kinfolk. And that's something that you need to understand. Like, just because you're the same ethnicity.
There you go. Because
some of them, some candidates don't have your best interest in heart. So we definitely got to pay attention to that. That comes in the line of being informed.
Say that one more time for people in the back. Being informed, okay?
Thank you.
That, like, seriously, people, like, it's a lot at stake with this election. Early voting can really prevent a lot of mishaps that can happen, because we already see our current president administration. Now, he has already put out there, he might not do an easy transfer. He might fight and prolong and go to the Supreme Court, and that's a whole nother mess. So to prevent all that, to ensure our votes, get out there and do early voting. We have to worry about that. Election day, you know, we whoever we want to win will win fair and square, and keep it moving, and let's get a new administration who's going to do their part. So
I thought it was funny though.
I just had to say,
He's like, I just find it really funny that people don't understand like that could actually happen, y'all. You know what I'm saying? Like that could actually happen because he could be like, I don't want to leave. Here's this 30-day eviction notice. You know, what are you gonna do? But that is so true. It might not be that easy, but y'all have to understand, even if you believe in this current administration, your city council might not be doing right by you. You know, so no matter what, if it's the president or whatever it is, because it might be a line item on the ballot that's about a street that, you know, has had a lot of accidents and they need a stop sign and you're supposed to vote on that. And then the next week, say you don't vote, and the next week you riding down that same street and somebody hits you, then you're gonna be like, I wish they would have put a stop sign. If you would have voted, they would have had one. So pay attention to what's on the full ballot. There's so many different things that are on there. So this actually gives you enough time. You could request the early ballot so you could research every line item that's on there. You could call, like, these are very, very important things to pay attention during this election, you know, because there's so many different things that are trying to be the fake ballot drop-off boxes, the long lines. Like, listen, if you go when you go to wait in line, get your bomb playlist and pack you a lunch. Don't forget your mask. But wait your turn and get up there and cast your vote if you go and vote early. That way, if you still at work, you can say, "Oh, I already voted. I ain't got to call out sick." But you might want to go ahead and get you some coffee though and come in a little bit later. I don't know, to celebrate you that you cast your vote early. But these are the things that can enable you if your employer does not let you off to go vote. If you're on a shift that you know that you work overnight, early voting will help you to get your schedule together.
yeah, and I just want to say shout out to Georgia because it's my home state where I live right now. Channel 2 News in Georgia has reported that over 1 million people have voted early in Georgia. So I want to give a hand clap to that. That's why we do
Yes.
this, is why we're talking about this, because we want you guys to vote early. But let's talk about this. What about people who have elderly parents who can't really walk and they're worried about COVID-19 restrictions? What is voting early polls doing for that?
So they are actually certain states have a plan in place for voting in person for a potential health risk. So if you contact the election board early, they can walk you through the process. You can mail in the ballot for them, for they can help them to mail in their ballot. Some places have become a little lax on getting a notary. Like some people got to go get a notarizer. That's their voting. So a lot of stuff has been have been relaxed a little bit so that they can accommodate these things. And so so here in Virginia, we have drive up voting where the person can drive up if they're unable to get out the car to come walk to the polling line. You could drive up, an election officer will come out to the car. Everything is placed confidentially. You place your ballot, it goes in an envelope, it goes back in, and that's how you can vote if you need that kind of service. It's drive up. There's a lane
That's
that's at the polling
awesome.
place. So please, if you live in a state and you need to figure out if they have that, call them. Know where your polling place is because they may be able to accommodate ADA accommodations for anybody who's elderly or disabled. So understand that there's so many different options. I know Virginia because I have to train and I have to know what we offer. So that is one of the things that we do offer in Virginia. You could drive up and the election officer can come out and get your vote and your vote will be counted. You know, the mail-in votes, even if you don't trust the little drop-off box, drive it over there to the election office and put it in there yourself. So those are the things that you can do to assist those elderly and people who are shut in, you know, because their vote matters. Like think about it, that's a whole demographic of people who, you know, need their voices heard too. It's just not just young, it's everybody right now that needs to have pre-existing conditions. Like y'all gotta understand this Supreme Court seat, like Rodney said was early, like this is appointed for life. You have to die. This is like a game. You got to die to get out. So, you know, y'all got to understand like this is very, very important to have administration that believes in what you believe in and has your best interest at heart for them to make sure they do what's necessary for you, you know, in this office and in this country.
Oh my God! Even in Pennsylvania, almost 518,000 people have voted ballots. So in Virginia, 518,000 voters who is Americans have voted through mail. So what are the myths about voting through mail? Because I want to make sure we clear that up too, because current administration telling people it doesn't count, it's not gonna work, is they throw your ballot away. So can we fix that myth right here, right now, and get it?
Let's say this: when you put your postage stamp and it's postmarked, there's a certain number of days. Your vote does count because it actually goes into. So I know in Virginia, when a vote comes into the mail, they come to the USPS, it's postmarked because y'all know they put that ink on there as soon as it comes in there. So it's postmarked, it's in there, it goes in secure. So after all these votes are tallied for days after the election. So understand, like, while you are casting your vote electronically, the mail ones are being, counted too. So don't ever think your vote is not going to count. And if you don't, like I said, if you don't trust the postal service, you can drive to your local election office and drop it off in person and get yourself a receipt. You can do that. So even if you want to say it's certified, you can do all these are the options that you have. But cast your ballot and vote. Don't let this the current myth scare you or deter you from doing what's necessary, what's right now.
How do you find out about your state rules? Because that's important too.
Yeah, for each state, they have an election board, and so you could go on your state's website and type in elections, and it should bring it up. But you can also go to voteearlyday.org and it'll tell you exactly what your state's rules are. And also in the military, y'all need to be very careful, be vigilant too, because if you are overseas and on an outpost and you need to cast your ballot, go and talk to somebody on base to figure out how to cast your vote, because your vote matters too.
Yeah, especially y'all are fighting for our rights and to keep our country safe. And I think that's horrible if you're overseas and you're not able to vote or being prohibited to vote because you're fighting a war for us. That's a whole nother conversation.
We would be here. We would be here for days, talking about exactly everything that needs to happen during this election. Like, definitely when it comes to, I was talking to my client the other day, and she was like, we need to pay attention to these, to the actual tax plans and stuff that are being proposed. You need to pay attention to all of that. It's not just the person who you're voting for, but all of these things are going to matter. The tax breaks for businesses, especially small businesses, you need to double check and make sure that all of these things, are looked at. So voting now, making sure you are informed, before you go to it's very key. And I think you stressing that is very important.
You have to do your research. And if y'all don't take anything from today, I thought y'all should take for doing your research and early voting. Yep. Research your candidate who named on that ballot, because you don't want that candidate on that ballot and then they get in office and it's a whole storm like it is now. Again, I'm not asking who do you vote for. I'm speaking my truth. Yes, exactly. And let me tell you guys this also, like, you need to never say that it does not affect me. We have this mentality where people don't care about voting until it affects them directly. Why go through all that hurt and pain when you don't have to? Mm-hmm. Okay. We already said you can, in some places we have drive-up service, which is beautiful. Virginia, drive-up. In some places, you can vote by mail. Mm-hmm. Like it's so many different avenues that you can vote where it doesn't matter if you are, can't walk. Are you too sick to get up and leave your house? You're on an oxygen tank. You can vote by mail. Yep. And I want to encourage everyone, like we said earlier, to vote by mail. If you cannot get out the house, if your grandma's in her right mind and she can still say her name, where she live, and quote certain stuff, and she know what day it is, who president and what the president, you are sound mind to vote. Yep. Okay. So get great grandma who's 98 years old. Get her a license. I think that's very important to keep your IDs up for older family members so they can vote. Because like you said, that's a whole nother mark important. Ooh, make my that hurt that hurts my head thinking about it.
I know, and it's like thinking about how so many people are getting their rights to vote back that shouldn't have been taken away in the first place. Like all these people, like you, if you got your rights back, you better be out here voting. Like you better use that to you better check mark everything. I don't care, how you get there on a skateboard or whatever. If you just got your rights restored, get out there and vote. Because that is your right. That is your right to vote now. Like use that. There's been so many people who have gotten their rights back and who have their record expunged so that they can cast their ballot. And I feel like that right there is more than enough of an incentive to come out to the polls in droves. So this election and every election going forward, get out there, figure out how you can vote early, figure out how you can vote, figure out how you can go in and work the polls so you can talk to your neighbors and get to know who's in your community when they come to the ballot and they see a welcoming face. These are the biggest things that I want people to understand. Like you have the right and you need to be aware of what's going on and how to do so.
And also, we have some people, I know some people who have felonies. And some of your felonies can be expunged if it's not under certain rules. So can you explain that for people?
So with the expungement process is you'll go through the process of submitting the paperwork, applying for that. So to get your rights back, because sometimes you've served your sentence, you're on probation, everything is fine, but they never restored your right to vote. Make sure you know that after you've served your time and did what you were supposed to do, make sure that that's one of the things that's in there. Like I need to make sure because I can vote, because they did, it is a felony to vote if you don't have the right to vote. You can go to jail for that. Ain't that some mess? It's one of those things, like somebody, like I'm telling you, there's people who accidentally cast a wrong vote or voted twice and didn't know it. There's a lady, I gotta get her information. She's got facing jail time because she didn't know. Like these are the things that y'all gotta pay attention. Your vote, if it was not that important, why would they have all these problems? And why would it be so hard?
And let me tell you something too. With people who had the same name as their father, I was registered in Mississippi, but I didn't move to Georgia. My mom just told me that they had my name still. It's the vote of Mississippi. I had to get that fixed. Because like I said, you can literally go to jail. If my dad just would have said Rodney Wash, he could have voted for me, not even knowing that he did that. Yep. It was up to later to say, do you mean Rodney M. Wash or Rodney J. Wash? He said, oh no, Rodney J. He said, like, it's so many things that can happen. So make sure if you have then since moved that you let them know your current state that, hey, I'm no longer there. I have another license. I'm registered here. Even though you did your part of your end, if you have the same name as somebody else in your family, it can easily mess you up, and you don't want to go to jail so you can't control.
That's what I did when I worked the polls. I have to double check. Like, wait a minute, say your full name, a middle initial. If it's a affix or whatever at the end. You got a junior, whatever, please disclose that. Like we go through that, we have to ask them twice and three times if it still comes up as a problem. You know what I'm saying? So be mindful of that. Like you were absolutely right, because he would have voted for you, and you would have cast your vote. You would have inadvertently gotten in trouble for voting in two different states.
Exactly, because that can happen. So I want to encourage people about that. Because like, Lord knows I can't go to jail. I'm too pretty.
That's what I'm about to say. You too cute for jail. Now listen, I'll put a little bit of change on your books, but I don't even want you in there. You're too cute. Like I can't do that. Because I was looking, and so there was this one quote, this statement from a man in Georgia, back in the 1930s, and he said, "Do you know I've never voted in my life? Never been able to exercise my right as a citizen because of the poll tax, and I can't pay a poll tax, can't have a voice in my own government." So this is why y'all, this is so important for y'all to be aware, be informed, and do and actually cast your vote. Because at one point in time there was that tax, and you had to prove that you could read. Now everybody else didn't have to do that, but us as a people, we had to go through that. So please, there are so many people who have shed their, lost their lives, to that avenue, for that right for us to vote, even though it was already our right.
It's crazy. Like I said earlier, I gave a story about that, how my
Yep.
great grandmother had to pay a tax and had to learn how to read. And unfortunately, back in like Mississippi and stuff, there were sharecroppers. Like my grandfather, he didn't have higher than a fourth grade education.
Yep.
So my grandmother had to help him fill out an application for certain words. Like people don't understand of all the sacrifices that Dr. Martin King did in 1960, 1964, brought hundreds of Black people to the courthouse of Selma, Alabama to register when they were turned away. Dr. King organized and led protests that finally turned the tide of American political opinion. In 1964, the 24th Amendment prohibited, keyword prohibited, the use of poll taxes. In 1965, the Voting Rights Act directed the Attorney General to enforce the right to vote for African Americans.
How many years is that? That's 1965. We in 2020. Hold on. Let me do the math real quick so y'all can know how long we've been out here voting and supposed to been voting. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's do the math. Okay, 2020. Don't judge me.
You fine. And I think that's
55 years. Yeah. Yo, y'all know our grandparents, some of our grandparents, aunties, uncles are 65 and 55 and 56 and 57 and
my mama's 65. Shout out to Diane.
Miss Diane. She was 10 years old when we got the right to vote.
Exactly.
Ain't that, see, this is in our lifetime, y'all. Like 1965, like that is does, when you say it, it don't seem like it was that long ago, y'all.
Oh my God, even watching Lovecraft Country, watching the Tulsa 1921 scene that they made it so visible. Like, you guys don't understand how Black people kept on fighting and fighting and fighting just to have a voice, even with the 1965 Voting Rights Act created a significant change in the status for African Americans throughout the South. The Voting Rights Act prohibited states from using literacy tests, aka my grandfather could not read, and other methods of excluding African Americans from voting. Prior to this, only an estimate of 23% of voting people who was Black were able to vote nationally. But by 1969, that number had jumped to 61%. And it's rising. So, and we don't need no more dips. So that's why we are doing the vote early day.
Yes. And I say, even if y'all are don't know what to do, gather a group of friends and talk about why, what's your voting plan, what you're going to do to get out and vote, how you're going to go. Even if you need to do do an Uber share ride to the polls, you know what I'm saying? Get out there and vote. Make sure that you all are talking, you all are making sure you're aware. If somebody got a question and you got the answer, talk to each other, make sure everybody's informed, and get out there and cast those ballots and vote. The October 24th will be the National Day of recognizing Vote Early Day. Hopefully we'll have the I'm excited because by then we'll have the final debates, and then we'll be ready to make y'all decision to go to, so that y'all will know who y'all voting for. You'll be able to, last minute reprieves from whoever's running. Get out there, use that information, and vote early. If you vote early to avoid any complications at the polls. I'm at this point, I ain't got, too much more to say. I really do appreciate you, seeing the vision and understanding how important this conversation was, Rodney. I really appreciate you bringing me onto your platform, because your platform is one that has so much amazing reach, and getting the word out about vote early day, and making sure that people are informed. And I really want to thank you so much, because you've already cast your ballot, and I'm excited about that, because you did what was necessary, because like, listen, I got to look at my schedule. Now I know I got to do this, and you went and you made sure that you were able to
Exactly.
do that.
And let me say, and I think I want to reiterate again that collaborate with other people. Join forces just like me and my lovely, beautiful co-hosts have done to share our platform to talk about voting. Because as much as we like to promote our brand, as much I want to come and tell you about my good old book that was number one. I
Hello.
have a lot of hey, number one. But
Yes.
it's so important because even stuff like that we're celebrating. Sometimes when you vote in you let the wrong person get elected, they can change a lot of stuff.
Yep.
Okay. So voting early and knowing who you vote for can make a huge difference. And again, for people in the back, the book is called Media World Through My Eyes by Rodney Wash on Amazon.
I got my copy. I already got my copy. So I was part of the reason why it's number one, because I got my copy. And the biggest thing about it is, and I really want to say this, shout out to you for creating a course that comes with a certificate for people to brand their business as a consultant and as a publicist. My biggest thing is making sure my clients understand what their brand should look like and what their brand should be. Rodney has a course, y'all. I mean, I'm gonna put the comment. It's gonna be in the comments, but I want to plug, because you don't understand. He works hard and he gets a lot of information out there. I may be in Stafford, Virginia, all the way down here in my little county, but I want to make sure that just my reach is beyond my county, because I'm Virginia strong, but South Carolina born. So I really want y'all to understand, like, voting is important, but also making sure that someone who can help you get your message out is very key. So I really like, this is exactly why I have, he is amazing. Y'all need to check him out, because let me tell you, he brought out some stuff in the interview with me, and I was like, okay, you gonna have to do this. You are good at what you do. That's all. You are very good at what you do. I can't wait to read the book. I can't wait. I got my Amazon Prime to be on Monday. So I'm excited, and I'm so thankful for this. And thank you so much for coming on to help me to spread the word about Vote Early Day 2020, October 24th. And listen, y'all, I want y'all, please vote. That's all. Please vote. That's all I can
Like they
say.
said in the song, get your booty to the pole.
I want to hear the song. Wait a minute, there's a song. Now I want to hear the song, because if it's a bop,
that song, I'm surprised you ever heard it. It has like over like 33 million views. So I hope 33 of them people vote early. 30 million people vote early. Like,
better play that as you're waiting in line. Yeah, get in it. Just stand in line and dance, y'all. That's all you can do. Make it a fun experience. Make it a historic. Take pictures, because right now we in a time where it's different. We got to wear a mask. We got to stay far from each other. But it's very important to make it fun and do your part. And make sure y'all check on your aunties and your grandmothers and y'all your grandfathers, and make sure they know how to vote. So I thank you so much, Rodney. Please tell people where to find you and where to follow you.
oh, thank you so much. First and foremost, before I say that, I want to say thank you for having me. Like I said, and like I even said in my book, and like I talk about, it's so important that you connect with people and who can help. Y'all can help each other. So you know what this person might do for you in the future or in the end. So I want to say thank you for allowing me on your platform. It's always good with
Thank
you.
you.
But you guys can follow me on every social media platform. Is that I am Rodney Wash. And that's in the book. So you don't need 4 different names to find you on social media. You need one good brand name and brand it all on your social media account. You read it in the book. So again, it's I am Rodney Wash. Simple.
I can't stop smiling.
On all your social media platforms.
It's always a great thing when we get together and talk, because we get information, we laugh, we cut up, but I think that's amazing, and I'm glad you get that lesson, because I was about to say, if you would have said 3 different things, I would have been like, man, I'm just gonna go to one. I ain't gonna do all this. I'm gonna have to find you. No, I ain't doing all that. I appreciate that it's all one, because I'm forgetful. So, and I get tired after a while. If I gotta know doing all this research,
Exactly.
send me the hyperlink. Don't even ask me to type it because it ain't gonna be right. But go to voteearlyday.org. That's voteearlyday.org. I would spell it, but I'm gonna miss a letter. So yeah, you vote early day.
You know, even though I don't care for Spice and whatever their names is, but I can do the movements. Vote early day.
But thank y'all for watching today. Catch the replay, but tag us in your pictures. And if you go to vote early, make sure you hashtag vote early day 2020. Thank you so much, Rodney. This is it for y'all.
And share this video. We need share. Share. Yeah. Okay, sharing is caring.
Yes. See y'all later.